What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another video in the series of creating a Wordle Companion app using R Shiny. So just to recall what we did last video, so what we have here is we can actually make our guess, and then if we click once, it will put the C in the word, but it won't be in the first word because yellow means that it's not in the right spot. But if we put the A as green, then all of the guesses that we have for our future entries are going to have an A as the second letter and a C somewhere in the word. So now that we have that functionality baked in, we can actually go in and add all 6 of our words back because we now know that this works for the first word. So now all we need to do is add this for all the other words as well. So I'm just going to go back over to our UI and I'm going to uncomment all of that code that we had commented out previously. And I'm going to cut this data table output and I'm just going to drop that all the way to the bottom. And let's actually add a break above that as well. All right, so now that we have this, let's take a look. So we see that we've now got all of the words that we could possibly want. And then we've still got this table here. We're going to do some stuff with that table later on. But right now we've got all of the words. So in order to add all of this functionality back, we can look just back to our server to see what we had before. So we have this next word, which populates our text input. We have the enabling or disabling of the go button depending on if, or the lock guess button, depending on if the guess is 5 letters or not. Updating the text based on what that next best word might be, and then also updating the individual letters. So what we could theoretically do is copy this stuff here and paste it down below after our word list 2, do that again, and then again take our word list 2 and our word 2 response and create that for word 3. But that's going to make this server file a little bit messier than we want to do it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pop that again into a function so we can make this a little bit easier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this process guess. And process guess is just going to be a function for us. And what we're going to do within this function is we're going to have to read in our session. We're going to have to read in an input our existing word list, and then what number are we actually working in? What word number are we actually working in? So we can go up here and again copy everything from getting the next word down through the observing event to populate the individual letter buttons, and we can copy that and we can just paste that right in here. So with the 4 arguments that we have a word list that we're reading in, which will now be this. So what we're going to want to do is actually just delete the 1. And anywhere where we see a 1, we're going to want to delete the ones because that's no longer corresponding just to the first word, but rather it's corresponding to just the next word in general every time we pass in for whatever word number we would be working with. So the other thing that we have to do is this no longer is just looking for the input of word 1. Now we want to look at the input of all of the words that we pass in. So we're going to do the square brackets. We're going to paste 0 of the word and then the word number. So if we do this for the second word, this will look at the input for the second word. Third word, it will do the same, so on and so forth. So everywhere we see this input $ word 1, we're just going to copy this square bracket, paste 0, word and word number, and we're going to paste that there instead. So let me look to see if there's anything else. We've got these inputs down here. So I'm just going to highlight and replace these. I know this is a little tedious, but this will make our lives a lot easier down the road, so we can just replicate this as many times as we want without having to worry about going over and doing it. So the next thing we want to do is the go ones. So these are going to be a paste 0 of go and the word num. So we can again copy this, and anywhere we see go 1 is where we're going to paste that in. I believe that is it. Oh, and then we've got this as well. So here I'm going to add the 2 square brackets and then the paste 0 of go because we're referring directly to the input. And then here, what we have to do is paste 0 of word and then word num, again, just because we want that to be adjusting. And here we don't need the 1 on the next word. And then we're basically done. The only other thing we have to do is we want to be referring to whatever word we're talking about for each of the letters. So I'm going to add a paste 0 in front of all of these. So we add all these paste zeros in. Okay, and then now what we want to get rid of is just the word. So instead of having that word, what we want to do is we want to have our paste 0. And I'm just going to add all my parentheses and stuff in. So we've got this now. Okay, perfect. So now what we want to paste 0 with is our word num. So I'm just going to copy this, paste that down in. And what we want to do is we want to put this into our functions folder. And so what we're going to call this is process guess. So once we save that in the process guess, we just have to go back into our UI, source that file, functions process guess.r. And so now we can resave that. And then let's just check this out. Let's make sure that this actually worked. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to comment out everything that we had for the first word, and I'm just going to run process guess. And we had session input in our word list, which was word list 1. And then we had our word number, which is just the first word. So now if I run this, what we just made was something that was taking care of changing the input, populating all of these, ensuring that this button gets locked if it's less than that, and then also updating all of these labels that we have. So it looks like it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and delete all of that code that we commented out, and then I'm going to add a couple more comments just to be really clear about what we're doing. So I'm going to just do this group comment of word 1, and it's little, but it works. Okay, and then I'm actually going to take this word 1 response. I'm going to cut that from down there, and I'm going to put that up here within our word 1. So now what we can do is we can copy this, go to word 2 here, right? So now this becomes word 2 from word 1. And then we just want to take these two pieces of information that we have, process guess, no longer word list 1, but now word list 2 for word 2. And then we want to do a word 2 response, which takes into account the input in our word 2 for, again, word 2. So now if I run this, what we should see is that this works for both of them. So perfect. So we've got our chars for our first word. And then as I lock this and change the information that Wordle is giving us, we see that the guess that we have for word 2 is changing. And then I can still change this, do something like apple, lock guess, and we see that that still populates. So this looks like this works for word 1 and word 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give myself a lot of space here. I'm going to copy this. And then what I'm going to do is every place that I see a 2, I'm going to make it a 3. And then every place that I see a 1, I'm going to make it a 2. And so we can copy that, do that, X out, save this file, and run the app. Okay, so now if I log guess, we can see this information is changing. So say C is now in the right spot, and A is now in the right spot, T is there, so we see that our word 3 is now changing. So I'm not going to bore you with going through and doing this for all of them. What I'm going to have done for the next video is generated this for all of them, and you can do that just by copying these 3 little chunks of code, the word list, the process guess, and the word response for each of the 6 words that we have. So after you go through and do that, the next thing that we're going to do is make sure that this table that we have here is corresponding to the latest word list that we have. So for example, if I go lock guess AR and then I lock guess, we see that it still keeps our second word guess populating in that table. So obviously we want this to update depending on what word we're on. So that's what we're going to go through and do in the next video. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to add a possible number of words to the top of this, just so you can see how much your word list is reducing. And then at that point, we will be done with our Wordle Companion app. So I'm excited to show you guys some of the final touches that we can put on this Wordle Companion app, and I hope to see you in the next video.